that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and I'm very excited today to be checking out Host from Broken Prism Games. This is for 2 to 6 players, ages 12 and up. It'll take about 5 to 15 minutes to play. And in Host, you'll be playing as zombies trying to end the world, or aliens trying to end the world, or you'll be trying to save the world from zombies and aliens and other really bad stuff that's going to be happening. It is a card game that was on Kickstarter. It got successfully backed, and now it's here in my hands. Let's open it up and see how it plays. Couldn't ask for much better than that. All right. Alright, then we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Host. First and foremost, we have our handy-dandy rule sheet. It is one-page, single-sided, very, very simple rule sheet. Gets right down to the point on how to play the game. You'll be left with very few questions. I will say the part about character cards left me scratching my head a little bit. I wasn't sure if you were supposed to have them face up, face down, but we really didn't play with them too much, so it didn't matter because it's kind of an alternate variant. Next, we're going to have cards, and more cards, and we're going to have 4 kinds of cards. First, let's go over the character cards, because we're just going to throw them to the side. Each player is going to get dealt one of these. I don't know if they're face up or face down, because the rule doesn't say. But the bottom line is, they change the gameplay a little bit, because it'll give you +1 to investigate, +1 to invasion, +1 to invasion, +1 to infected, +2 to invasion. But sometimes you'll get one and be like, well, this doesn't really help my mission at all, so whatever. Take them or leave them. They're okay. And they seem like they were just kind of thrown in there, but they're not bad. Next, you're going to get 3 kinds of cards. You're going to get host cards, event cards, and mission cards, which are very clearly labeled. We'll start off by going over the host cards. The host cards are going to be the cards that are in your hand, and when you start the game, you're going to have 4 host cards in your hand and 1 mission. Now, the host cards are going to have various different things on them. They'll have red cards, green cards, black cards, purple cards, and these are going to be the various different ways that you're either going to take over the world or save the world, because in the game, you're going to be trying to do that. Now let's get to the win condition. In order to win the game, you're going to start with 1 mission card. If you can complete this mission, then you will be the winner of the game if you can complete it at any point in your turn. So my mission would be, I need to collect 5 infecteds and 5 inoculates and ignore negatives. So essentially how this would work is, I would start off and I would have, hey, I got 4 infecteds already. So that's good. I just need 1 more red card and I'll have my 5 infecteds. And then if I can collect 5 inoculates, then I will also be the winner. So I need 5 of each. Now this one is a nice card because it says ignore negatives. Because as you can see, this one would give me -3 to inoculates, which would obviously hurt me quite a bit. But you're going to be collecting these. Some of them will have you collect, 5 of a color, or 2, collect 10 infecteds, collect 10 inoculates, so on and so forth. But the main thing to focus on here is that if there's a negative there and it affects you, then even if you're not using that card, you have to take the negative. So essentially, you have -1 investigation and -4 inoculate right here. So you have to make sure you're focusing on all the cards in your hand and getting rid of the cards that aren't going to help you. The last kind of card you're going to find in your hand are the event cards. Now this will say draw an event card. You can play it, and when you play it, you're going to draw an event card. And these event cards, let me tell you, these things are they're crazy. They will completely change the game a lot of the time. So let's see. This one, Majestic 12. This one gives you a new mission. So your old mission you've been working so hard on, out the door. This one is going to add +2 to every person's mission. So instead of collecting 5 infected and 5 inoculates, now I need to collect 7 infected and 7 inoculates. So essentially it's going to make everything harder. This one, the Earthquake, this one is really out there and will really annoy you sometimes. Shuffle all the players' hands, so all the host cards people have, and deal everyone as evenly as possible. So essentially you're going to take everybody's host cards and deal them back out to people. So all the work you put in to get all those cards, out the door. Now, let's go over the gameplay and see how that works real quick. So I got my 4 host cards. I got my mission. I'm ready to go. On my turn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 1 host card, and then I'm going to discard one of my cards to a player around me. There's no discard pile. I'm just going to say, all right, I want to get rid of this card, so I'm going to hand it off to a person. Now, this is obviously a strategic move because I might say, oh, this guy doesn't want this card, or I don't want this card, but that's what you're going to do. You draw a host card, and you pass a card off to another player. Next player goes, they're going to draw a host card, and they're going to pass a card off to another player. Draw a host card, pass a card off. Occasionally events will happen, stuff will get shaken up, and you're going to do that until one player can complete their mission on their turn. If you can complete your mission on your turn, you will be the winner of Host, and that's how Host is played. One more thing I want to mention, though, is that in the two-player game, you have the option of, instead of drawing a card from the host pile, randomly stealing a card from your opponent and then discarding a card back to them. But that is how Host is played. Alrighty then, Host from Broken Prism Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game is not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. First and foremost, this is a very light filler game. There is not too much strategy in this game. In fact, on the back of the box, they say it's zombies and aliens meets Go Fish. So right there, that should tell you that this is going to be more of a family weight kind of game, not something that you might be busting out at game night unless you're looking for a little filler game. Also, the two-player version of the game is something I just can't recommend at all. If you're looking into buying this game as a two-player game, just steer clear. We did not like it at all. It got to the point where you have to hand off one of your cards at the end of your turn. That literally, we both didn't need a card, so we just left it in the middle of the table and said, all right, I'm passing it to you. No, I'm passing it back to you. I'm passing it back to you. And we just did that for pretty much the entire game. Another thing I had with this game is sometimes the game can really drag on. Some of the events really will just screw everybody at the table, and you'll have to start from the bottom, essentially. Another problem I had was that the character cards, I didn't understand them. They're not really addressed too much in the rulebook. Look how they work, if they're supposed to be face up or face down. And when we did play with them, we tried it face up and face down. And both times we agreed, we don't really need these. There's really not too much point to playing with them. I like the fact that they tried to add those in there. They really didn't add much to the gameplay also. Also, the theme it's there, but it's really kind of pasted on. There's a laundry list of things that really are cons about this game. Moving on to the pros, I don't know what I think about this game. Like, I personally am not the biggest fan of this game. However, I probably played with about 15 other people. And about everybody else I talked to liked the game. And I was like, really? Like, yeah, it's a nice, light little filler game. And I was like, really? Maybe I just want more out of my games now or something. So I'm torn. I don't hate the game. I will play the game, and I'll have a little bit of fun. It's an enjoyable, quick little romp, even though some games can drag on, especially if event cards screw you over. But it's not something I would ever bring out to the show. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that I played this with two people who aren't particularly gamers. They're kind of new to the hobby, or they don't play too much. They're the kind that maybe if we see one of my roommates play King of Tokyo. If he sees that, that'll be one of them. Like, yeah. This is actually a game that he played it once, and he requested it again. So this might be something that you could use as a gateway game. Definitely something that might be able to get your kids into the hobby because it is very, very super simple. The artwork is good. I did enjoy the artwork. They have unique artwork for a lot of the different cards. The theme is an interesting one. Like I said, the theme is not really there, but I like the idea of the theme. That there's aliens that could possibly, and there's zombies. I don't know. I'm stretching myself thin here. I normally have a very distinct opinion on games. This one I'm torn on because everybody else disagreed with me, and I kind of disagreed with myself. Host, if you're looking for a light filler game, try it before you buy it, I think. It's not going to set the world on fire, but apparently I'm going to keep it on my shelf because people like it. And if people like it, I'm going to keep it because that's what matters. So, Host, Broken Prism Games, check it out. One last thing, it is a game crafter game. So, as you can tell, the box is not the nicest in the world, but it's definitely serviceable and it looks just fine. No component issues there. The cards were nice. Everything was nice. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for your time, YouTube.
That was the review for Host. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bauer's Game Corner.